What's going on, guys? It's the Unhinged Engineer here, and today I am very excited for our belated 1,000 subscriber Q&A response video. So apologize, I'm getting this out a little bit late, but I'm incredibly excited to respond to all the questions you guys put on the starter video to this Q&A. And I realized that there's actually a backlog of other questions that I haven't gotten around to, comments on other videos of mine, that I just wanted to bucket in here so I can give you guys as informative of a video as possible. So if you are a loyal viewer, first of all, thank you. As I said in my previous video, I'm incredibly grateful for all the growth and support I've seen from y'all, and I'm super excited for the future of this channel. And if you're not yet a loyal viewer, then I would highly recommend you like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested in professional development content for young engineers by a young engineer like today's video. So enough beating around the bush, let's get right into these questions. Hi, I've been enjoying your content, especially as a fellow OMSCS student and engineer working in aerospace and defense. Thank you, that's really cool. I actually haven't, at first I didn't see a ton of OMSCS students in aerospace and defense, but more recently that's changed, so we are not alone. In your video, the number one thing top aerospace and defense companies look for in engineers, you discussed that they look for a technical end-to-end ownership of products. If you were looking to pivot to work for a company like this in the future and wanted to demonstrate this skill via personal projects, how would you go about selecting a personal project and demonstrating that? I suspect that this experience is premium for many of us looking to switch jobs/careers from old guard aerospace and defense cultures to VC-backed companies. Wow, this is a cool question. Well, I would say, kind of as I alluded to in that video, I think it's less about the subject of the project or even the technologies you use in it, especially in the age of AI where people are more kind of language and technology agnostic than ever. So it's really less about the topic or the problem of the project you're working on, and more so about how far you really take it. This is more of an art than a science in a lot of ways, but it's really important for you to think about when you're conceptualizing the project. Where do I want to start and where do I want to finish? And I think that there's three things you want to mainly filter for. The first one is there enough of a delta between where you start and where you finish? Is there actually enough substantive work to do that you can really own that development process from beginning to end? So that's the first piece, is how much work is it going to be? The second piece is how far along are you going to start? So on the one hand, if you start too far up the TRL chain, so you're really just using established technologies for their intended purpose, you're not really getting at kind of that initial R&D-ish phase, that initial design phase. But if you start too early, then you're gonna bog yourself down in like absolute fundamentals that you don't really need to, because you're trying to get at that integration experience. So there's kind of an optimum there that it's like early TRL, like maybe it's an established technology, but you're using it in a new way. Or maybe it's not an established technology, but there's a lot of analogous ones and you're building one from scratch. Like, you kind of want to figure out where you want to start that's going to maximize how much distribution you can capture in terms of ownership on the project. And then a similar thing goes for the back end, right? If this is like a very straightforward problem you're trying to solve, that there's a million different ways from Sunday we know to solve, maybe that's not the best thing to do. But if it's something pretty unique and pretty circumstantial that's gonna force you to think outside the box a little bit, that's great, unless you take it too far and then like you can't come up with something interesting, or you come up with something interesting and it's way too niche. So ultimately what I'm trying to get at here is, it's less about I don't mean to dodge the question, but it's less about like the subject of the project. Obviously, if you're an aerospace and defense person and you're looking for aerospace and defense jobs, something tells me you're interested in a lot of stuff with aerospace and defense. So there's a plethora of things you could pick between to do a project on that would be impressive. The real question is kind of thinking about that like hero's journey. Like, where am I going to start? Where am I going to finish? And then what's going to happen in the middle there? Like, is there kind of a process of moving from low TRL, like initial design, coming up with an idea, doing a little research, through building it, through testing it, through deploying it? Like, is there actually a story in there? And then again, for efficiency purposes, so you're getting the most out of it, thinking about where you're going to start and where you're going to finish. So that's probably my best advice beyond what I said in that video you referred to. But I will just say more broadly, like, I think if you're already starting to think about ownership, you're on the right track, right? Like, I think this is a higher order mental model of the kind of work that these companies are looking for. And so, I like to think if you're watching these kinds of videos and you're using this kind of language, you're on the right track. And that's why really it's less so about the actual subject. Like, I don't want to just blurt out like, oh, go make like a autonomous flying drone, because there's ways you can do that demonstrate a ton of ownership and demonstrate a ton of the skills and the mindset that these companies are looking for. And then there's lots of ways you can do it that don't demonstrate any of that and are kind of a waste. So it's less about the specific application and it's more about that thought process and that story you're trying to tell throughout the course of the project. So best of luck there. Appreciate the comment. Let's keep going. Where do you see the future of flight software and GNC going? What specific jobs do you think will get taken by AI, and what new jobs do you think will be created? Wow, this is an interesting question. I'm gonna start with the second one because honestly, I am so far from an expert on kind of the economic impacts we can expect to see from AI writ large. So I don't want to speak on that because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I would just say within aerospace, I think as a hard tech field, we are more insulated from the effects of AI than others. Not to dog on tech as I have done before. The real world is hard. Obviously the software world is hard as well, but the real world is difficult and requires a lot, I shouldn't say more skills, but definitely different skills than stuff like, just as a random example, web development. So you're seeing AI really rip and tear through fields like front-end development as compared to things like aerospace, because we really have that hedge, which is the fact that we have to build stuff that works in the real world. And as of now, we don't have robots that are running AI models in the real world yet. And that's part of why like physical AI is kind of the next wave that all these VCs are jumping on, the bandwagon that these VCs are jumping on. The reason is because like it's the final frontier at this point for AI is actually getting these systems in the physical world. So I like to think aerospace as a whole is safer. So far that's appeared to be the case. But I don't want to talk more broadly about like the economy because I don't know anything to do with that, and I don't want to make a channel about the economy. Anyway, let's talk about flight software and GNC. The main thing I think is cool about both of these, especially GNC, but both of these fields, is that AI is not just affecting how we do work in these fields, but it's also actually affecting the applications and the software that we're writing. Like a great example is GNC. As I'll probably allude to several times in this video, I actually did make the long-awaited GNC-centric video, so I'm hoping to release that in the next couple of days. I'll talk about it in that video for guidance systems, autonomy and reinforcement learning, and all these different kind of modes of autonomous decision-making are really starting to have an impact on how we do guidance and how autonomous vehicles are guided in the real world. Same thing goes for navigation. Computer vision and other forms of data analysis with machine learning techniques are really making a big dent in how we do stuff like sensor fusion or state estimation or anomaly detection. There's lots and lots of really exciting applications of AI to the types of software that we're running on these aerospace vehicles. And so it's cool to see AI impacting these fields beyond just using Claude Code. Like obviously we're all using Claude Code. That's not a surprise to anybody, I'm sure. But in addition to just using more tools, it's also the tools we're building have AI in them themselves, which is really, really cool. So definitely interesting to see AI kind of assaulting GNC and flight software on two fronts there. But as I said towards the beginning of this response, I do think that aerospace as a whole is better insulated from AI for now, and it at least gives us enough time to adapt, which is ultimately the most important thing. Okay, next one. What are your thoughts on controls engineering? I am currently studying for a bachelor degree in control engineering. I want to pursue a master's degree in robotics and focus on robotics in my career. I've heard that robotics now relies more on software than controls, and this worries me. Do you think I could combine controls and software, creating both the software and control systems for a robot or rocket? Do I have enough time for both, learning software and controls? This is an interesting question. So I get what you're saying, and I do think there's some truth to it. I would reframe relies more on software than controls to something like we're moving away from purely controls methods towards more software-based methods. And the reason I say that is because controls has always had a heavy software element to it, but you are correct that we're moving more towards digital systems, running algorithms for control processes, rather than kind of, in the most extreme case, analog controllers, but also beyond that, very simple PID control, LQR control, running on their own process. I think controls is moving up the stack, it appears, It's moving up the stack from kind of low level, almost like firmware development. Like a lot of times I see roles for controls engineering and it's purely about basically firmware, like actually running the control surfaces that are, you know, doing controls. Now I'm seeing it kind of raise up the stack beyond just that level towards more like the application or algorithmic level, interfacing with the rest of flight software more directly. So I get what you're saying. I would not panic though. And the reason I say that is because you say you're in your bachelor's degree, you want to move on to your master's. I think as of now, a strong foundation in classical control theory is still incredibly valuable. And I say that as someone who invested a lot of time in that early in their education. The control theory is still the bread and butter of control systems. It's just how we build those control systems is changing in some of the ways you describe. And I think shifting from something purely focused in controls to more of a robotics focus or an aerospace focus, where you see a bit more of the application end of these systems, I think will serve you really well. So it sounds like you're on the right track. Do I have enough time for both? I think the reality is if you go get a master's degree in robotics, you will learn both, which is a good thing. Like I think ultimately the best approach is to combine the software side, the algorithmic side with the classical control theory. I think if you invest some time in both of those, as it seems you're interested in doing, then you will kick some serious ass. You don't have nothing to worry about. So on the one hand, I get what you're saying and you're not crazy. On the other hand, I think you'll be okay, just based on kind of how you're describing your situation. So best of luck with that. I've loved controls. I continue to love controls. It's cool stuff. So next one. So this is from a different video. This is a high schooler asking about my entire aerospace engineering degree in what was it, like 15 minutes? I can't remember. My entire aerospace engineering degree video. What level of math should I have before starting? I still have a few months. Do I brush up on my algebra, calc, or will basically be taught everything once we start? That kind of depends. I mean, it depends on what classes you're gonna be taking going in. I think honestly, I would say the biggest two are kind of algebra and calc. The reason being that a lot of the stuff that you learn in geometry and trig just kind of gets rolled up into calculus when you get to college. Like it kind of just becomes one big thing. I would say before getting through the initial bouts of calculus, I would just make sure that obviously you review whatever calc you did do in high school if you were lucky enough to do it. I did like a very basic, I took AP Calc. I did take AP Calc 1. How well I did in it is a separate story. But you know, review whatever calculus you did in high school, and then also really brush up on those algebra skills. Because a lot of algebra is more mechanical rather than conceptual, right? Like you just gotta know how to do the different tricks you learn in algebra in terms of like factorization and changing how you express different equations, stuff like that. So I think brushing up on that stuff is great. And at the end of the day, as long as you don't jump in the deep end of the pool, which in a lot of ways I advise against. Like I think a lot of people come into school with AP credits and they just jump right into like differential equations or some crazy calc class. I don't think that's necessary, and for some people, not all, that can even have adverse effects. So I think go jump in as deep waters as you're comfortable with. If you do that correctly, then they'll teach you everything you need to know and might not know. So just as an example, like I took Calc 1 in high school, and then I took an advanced Calc 1 specifically geared towards engineers when I got into college. So I technically took Calc 1 twice, it's just the second one was a bit harder. I also could have jumped into Calc 2 because I had the AP credits, and I knew some people who jumped into like differential equations. So wherever you're comfortable with, don't be afraid to jump in, even if they're kind of less advanced of a level than others. And I think you'll, in that way, you'll learn everything you need. Next one. Currently a mechanical engineering major trying to get an aerospace engineering master's after my bachelor's and go into a GNC career. Currently taking my first 2 controls related classes, but not really applied towards GNC. Any advice on building experience or figuring out what and where to learn? Honestly, so like I said, I made an entire video about GNC. Stay tuned for that one. I think hopefully that will help. I think if you're feeling like you're getting good controls related education, but not really getting like the whole GNC picture, I would strongly advise you try to find ways to learn more about the integration of these different systems. And ideally that's through real world experience, like you do some kind of internship that's either in GNC or adjacent to it. You kind of see how in a real company, these different systems talk to one another and work with one another. Ideally it's that, but if you don't have the opportunity to do that, then there are lots of projects you could do that kind of integrate all of them together, like some kind of self flying drone or self-driving robot, something like that. Like really just something sophisticated enough to show you how the different moving pieces actually interop with one another, but simple enough that you can actually build up the building blocks and the foundations yourself. So that would be my advice, is really focus on the integration, and you'll definitely see me refer to that several times in the video I made. So yeah, stay tuned for that. 2 more questions here. This was a comment on my "Can you actually get an aerospace engineering job in 2026" video. Hey man, enjoyed your video. I graduated last May with my master's in aerospace engineering and 2 years of propulsion testing experience. I've submitted around 600 applications in those 10 months and I'm still hunting. I'm unsure what to do. I've made the final round with Stoke, Space, Relativity, and others I would be excited to work for, but each time I've been passed over. Well, first of all, congratulations on graduating with your master's. That's a big deal. It's interesting to me that you've made it to the final round with these companies, which are not slouch companies, by the way. But yeah, the fact that you've made it to the final round with these is an indication that it's probably not your resume. Because if your resume was bad, or even the quality of your experiences was bad, chances are you wouldn't have gotten as far as you're getting. So I think that means one of 2 things. It probably means in some way something's going wrong in the interviews themselves. And that could be a lot of things, like interviewing is an art in and of itself. But it could be how you're presenting your experience. It could be something with your behavioral interviews. It could be something with expectations you're setting going in, or if there's technical evaluations, something there. Like, I think the fact that, I know 600 applications is a lot, but there are people who do 1,000 applications and don't even get first round calls. So don't underestimate the fact that you're getting to final rounds. That's a big deal. And it means you're close. I don't mean to just like rub it in that you're getting so close and not getting jobs. I'm just saying like it's a positive thing that you're getting as far as you are. So my advice, which I could make a video about this or 10 videos about this, my advice is really look at the interviewing process, reflect on the processes you've gone through with the different companies, and try to figure out what's going wrong. It could be something small, it could be something big, it could be something you're saying in one round that's setting you up poorly for a later round. Like at the end of the day, getting a job as a whole is this funnel, where the top of the funnel is really wide and it's like sending out applications and your resume and stuff like that. Then there's kind of this intermediate piece where you're in these like initial technical interviews where they're investing in you a little bit, but not a ton. So you're both trying to feel out each other. And then at the bottom of the funnel, it's like the final on-site, the final round, and or actual negotiations should you get an offer. So think about where in that funnel things are falling through for you. It sounds like it's probably towards the latter half rather than the former. And hopefully you can pinpoint that problem. And once you fix it, you'll be good to go. So yeah, best of luck. I know it's really hard. 600 applications is a lot, but I'm telling you, like you're getting some signal if you're getting this far in the interview round. So it's just something going a little bit haywire, and hopefully if you can isolate it and correct it, you'll be good to go. So best of luck. And yeah, please drop a comment on a future video once you do get a job, because I have faith. I try to have faith in people, I try to be optimistic, and I think you should be too if you're getting some signal here. And you're getting to final rounds with companies like Stoke and Relativity, which are not exactly slouch companies. Last one, this is a comment on my what I wish I knew before studying aerospace video. Would combining, say, a physics minor or double major with aerospace engineering be beneficial in terms of increasing my chances of landing a job in aerospace or opening more career options? To be honest, when I first started my aerospace degree, I was really adamant about getting some kind of minor in computer science, or we had an IT minor. That was the only one I pursued even slightly, and I only took like a couple of electives and really went nowhere. I think in my experience, minors matter very, very little. They're really just kind of rubber stamps that universities give their students saying, hey, this person took enough courses in a certain arbitrary area that we define that we're going to give them an additional piece of paper. My point here being, what really matters is the classes you take and ultimately the knowledge you gain from those classes. So I would say if you want to take a bunch of physics classes and you can combine those into a minor in some way that preserves the actual interest you have in it and the applicability to the kinds of jobs you want, then go for it. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But don't sacrifice precision in terms of what you want to learn and why just to get a piece of paper, because it's not going to help you, especially not something like physics or I was doing computer science, because we're engineers, right? We're expected to know some coding, and we're expected to know some physics, well beyond the level that just a minor would give you. Now, if it was a minor in, I don't know, business or economics or even like history or something, like maybe it's a little more interesting. Generally, something interesting that kind of sets you apart is cool to employers, because they're people too. Maybe, but then you're kind of doing that more for the love of the game rather than, you know, direct contribution to your career prospects. So yeah, I just think overall, I would say really focus on the courses you're gonna take and make sure the courses you're gonna take are relevant to the kinds of roles you want. It's as simple as that. And then if you can turn those into a minor, great. If not, don't sweat it. You know, nobody ever lost a job or probably got a job purely based on their mind. Yeah, I think that's all the questions I have, right? Yeah, that's all the questions I have. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As usual, I enjoy talking with you guys and kind of seeing where you're at, helping whoever's in different stages of their career or job hunt or whatever's going on. You know, I think, as I said in the first part of this Q&A series for hitting 1,000 subs, things are pretty crazy out there. Like, there's a lot going on, not just in the professional world, but also in the world writ large, right? I'm sure we're all on the same page with that. My point is, I think it's been really affirming as kind of somebody trying to navigate this phase of life and this phase of our professional lives with some optimism, despite all the uncertainty with things going on in AI and the economy and stuff like that. It's been really affirming to see there are other people out there who kind of have an appetite for not just this kind of content, but also hopefully this kind of mindset of like, look, things are scary, there's a lot of uncertainties, there's a lot of unknowns that are out of our control, but there are a lot of things that are in our control that we can hopefully maximize the expected value of to get the kinds of career outcomes that we want. So that's the approach I've taken in my career. It's helped me out so far, and I hope that if that's the kind of approach you guys want to take to your career, then you stick along for the ride, as it seems like many of you are. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Thank you guys so much again for the 1,000 subscriber milestone. I actually am so late on posting this video that we're past 1,200 subscribers now. So you guys are gonna make it, so I have to make the 10,000 sub announcement before I'm done with the 1,000 sub announcement. But yeah, seriously, just really grateful for the support. As I said last time, I'm really enjoying making videos for you guys. I hope you find it as valuable watching as I honestly find it valuable making. So I will see you guys in the next video.